So yeah, let's also record this, because why not? We're obviously going in an ACS 64 Amtrak locomotive here. And I think we should go on a winter day. After all, it's currently winter there. And we're going up sometime where we actually have light, so that we know what's going on. And we're going from New York Liberty to New Rochelle. So let's start, I guess. And we can admire those beautiful loading screens there. Okay, so here we are in the cab of our ACS 64 locomotive, and I have no idea why the game always turns on the cab lights, so let's turn them off so we can actually see what's going on. We want to change this display so that we have a large dials. We want to open the doors, which looks like this. And then we go back here. First of all, we want to start up HEP by turning this dial to the right and holding it there for a few seconds. That should do it. Then we enable ADC and access, which are the train protection systems. You can go inside and have a look. Yeah, I know already what I forgot. Because I forgot to turn on the lights. We're going to turn on the headlights to dim, and we also want to turn on the ditch lights to the middle position. So this is how the locomotive looks like, and I hope that the game audio is set up correctly. There's a little snow on the locomotive. Time for a screenshot right away. There's a little snow on the locomotive. Those are the wagons. The wagons are like 40 years older than the locomotive because American railways suck, from what I know. Hello guys, everybody got their tickets? I hope so. So sit next to them and watch this lady, because why not? But after all, this is a train sim about driving the train, so we're gonna hop into the front again and gonna get a comfy position here. I think, is there a heater? Yeah, there is the heater theoretically, but it does not work. Yeah, all of this seems good. We want to turn this forward so we can actually drive, and then we want to close the doors, which only works via the menu in this route, because, well, the trains in reality have a conductor who would even close the doors for me, but that's not the case here. So let's release the brakes, and we're ready to drive. Now we have access and ATC enabled, or which is train protection system. This is the maximum speed we're allowed to drive, and this is the last signal position, which kind of determines our maximum speed, at least if the last signal is green, because if the last signal is green, then we can drive route speed. Otherwise, if either route speed is below the last signal aspect, or if the last signal aspect has a speed whatever. So the last signal aspect was approach medium, and that means a speed of 45, so that's what it currently displays. So we're allowed to drive a maximum of 45 miles an hour. So let's accelerate up to that. Now, when driving with Axis and ATC in this game on this route, there's a few things to know. First of all, there's two very annoying signals where you kind of need to know that they exist in order to successfully manage them. Otherwise, you will definitely overspeed there. And secondly, ADC access are a little bit buggy in this game, which means that it might, in the tunnels at New York Penn Station, might slow you down a lot unnecessarily, and it might also, and yeah, there's one faulty emergency brake which just stops your train for unknown reasons, and there's no way to dodge that if ATC access is enabled. I don't know what the beta testers were smoking when making this game, but that's how it is. However, due to the fact that we have a otherwise working train protection system here, I thought this was like the one route that could be interesting to show for people who asked me to do a stream from a train sim game for some reason, and yeah, so that's gonna be my test stream for today. Yeah, we've just departed from New York Liberty Airport, and that's not really far from New York Penn Station, so we'll just cruise here at low speed. Enjoy the sunny winter day. Although, actually, winter makes everything white, and the route might look a bit more impressive if it's like played in springtime. But not sure. I mean, the route itself isn't really the holy grail of train simulation either. It's... well, I personally find it okay because it's fun to drive due to the train protection systems and the locomotives being pretty nice. But a lot of people have complained that the buildings on this route are very low quality, just like textured blocks in low quality textures, and well, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Mind you, this is ultra settings. This is the ultra settings in the game. Plus, I've also modified engine settings in order to get here. Oops. Please don't. Please. Okay. Yeah, that worked. So I also modified like the engine settings further with a text editor to get that, and yes, you get signs like that. So yes, the game is certainly not ideal. Trains can probably look better, and I normally also play trains like trains with the Z at the end, but I kind of just need a break from trains, and so I'm having a run on trains involved now. So yeah, we're already arriving at New York Penn Station. You've just seen the tool in action counting down, and we'll observe these in more detail again later. But for now, we'll just go to the station. Now, this train does have a dynamic brake, but the dynamic brake in this train is basically useless. I don't know why it even has one. So we always want to brake with the actual pneumatic brakes, and also the spot which it marks for you to stop at is wrong. So we are on our own, driving back here and hoping that the game does trigger that. Sometimes the game is retarded and doesn't notice that we did stop at the right station. Sometimes it does. It has noticed that. Actually, there's something we can do to make this a bit more realistic. I mean, obviously the driver will not leave the cab normally, but theoretically there would be the conductor here, and the conductor press this button, and then all doors open up. This train can also stop at stations that don't have a platform because they have stairs that could be unfolded, but yeah, the passengers will just fly over that, and can also just go through the platform. It's kind of retarded, but it's possible. there's another train. Now we're going to close the doors again by just we press this button and quickly hop out. Obviously this is not illegal, this is not how it should be done, but this is the way you can do it in this game, because this game does not have a dispatcher, and thus this is the only semi-realistic way. So let's release the brakes, and it's time to depart the Newark Penn Station. We will not stop at Secaucus Junction, which is the station in the middle, which is actually realistic because in real life Amtrak trains do not stop there. But in this game they sometimes do. But yeah, let's play realistic and not stop there. So that's good. What I liked that on people is like a lot of people telling me to have a sexy voice. For some reason, I've never known that, but thank you for telling me that. I always thought I sound like an annoying Minecraft kid or something. Like, annoying grown-up Minecraft kid. But it seems that's not the case anymore. So yeah, we've departed in New York Penn Station, and we're heading for New York Penn Station. You need to be very careful with how you say it there. And now you see the red number. You see, there's a yellow number at the top, there's a red number at the bottom. Now, the idea here is that the yellow number at the top is the speed you must not be faster than. And the red number at the bottom is a countdown which shows you the distance to the current speed. This is very good for improving your braking skills. Basically, if you drive very fast and you might already see that it's counting down to some number, and if you see that the distance to the current value is rather high, you don't need to brake, and it's like advisable to start braking when there's like 8 miles difference to the counter on higher speeds, or 3 miles difference to the counter at lower speeds. And then you can drive very easily and safely and nicely with X's and ATC. X's ATC is actually a two-part system. I'm not sure at the moment which one is which, but one keeps track of signal speeds and the other keeps track of line speeds. And now we're going to a special section. It says cap speed. Now this means that the signals which are on the route, do actually not count for us, and instead the one thing that does count for us is what this little display shows, and this little display shows a green light and 60 miles an hour, so that's what we're gonna drive. Now this little display can be annoying at sometimes. Theoretically the route speed would be 90 miles an hour. This is what you can drive if you disable the system. However, the system is a little bit overcautious sometimes, which means that it will show you much lower speeds, and in the end, on worst days, the system might just give you 10 minutes delay from the timetable. So throwing the timetable out of the window when driving with the system, which again, from what I know, is somewhat realistic because this route is very busy in real life. This is a super busy route in real life. It's not in game, but in real life it is. And this means that in real life Amtrak trains with 10 minutes delay are almost normal, almost to be expected, because of how much is going on there. But yeah, there's nothing going on right now, but that still does not mean we can't actually drive faster. Now there's actually some people that complain. Oh well, I know somebody who says it's lame if you just play with like the HUD in the game. So actually, if I find the right key for it, no, that was not the right key. That was the right key. So I can actually disable the HUD in-game, and now we only have the speedometer of the train. It's a little bit hard to read on some trains. On this one it's okay. And really, this is impossible. If it's 720p screens, will only work on HD and upwards, otherwise you can't read it at all. But I'm in the luxury of being able to somewhat read it and just drive with that. Now, we're currently accelerating, but the counter's already counting down, and we're like 8 miles away from the target speed now, and this means that we now gotta start braking. I don't know from mind which speed is coming now, so let's see. Just changing between the minimal reduction brake level and release. If you want to brake slowly, that is the way to go. Now we've reached our target speed of 60 miles, so we're gonna hold that again, and I think this is the spot where we'll also get a faulty emergency brake in 3, 2, 1, and there it goes. Yeah, nobody knows why this happens. This issue has been in the game for over a year now. The train just stops here randomly. I don't know why. Happens to everybody, happens only in this direction, does not happen in the other direction. There's no point this should be happening, but it does. Yeah. So we'll just stop here and we'll immediately start up again to 60 as our target speed. Oops. Is the mouse visible? Okay, yeah, the mouse is visible, so that's good. So I can use it to point at stuff if I ever need to. And we can accelerate again to 90 as our target speed, and there we see Secaucus Junction Station. But as I already said, Amtrak does not stop here, so we'll just head right through. This is a New Jersey Transit only station, in real life at least. Fun facts about this station: this station does not have a solid roof. That's just visual, because in this game, if there's rain or snow, it will just go through the roof. I don't know, the engineers at Secaucus should probably improve their station one day, but on the other hand, yeah, it's not Amtrak, they don't really have that much money, so jokes aside. Yeah, again, we'll see the counter is counting down towards us. It's counting faster because we're actually accelerating right now, but that's absolutely fine because we're rather far away from the counter now. To drive energy efficient, we're gonna go into idle now, just stroll for the last bit. And I already know that the next one is going to be a 75, so just wait until approximately now. Now we will stop braking. Now the yellow light down there, blink, is called suppression. And this means that it's currently, well, that the system is happy with what we're doing. If it would count down below our speed and suppression would not light up, it would determine that we are driving too fast and it would stop us, which is not good. But the system is happy as long as suppression is lit. And that suppression lit as fuck, man. Okay, we're now slowing down further for the 60 at New York Penn Tunnel. That's right, we'll be going underground for quite a while, until we reach New York Penn Station. And for going underground, I will activate the lights here so I can see, and I will also activate this light, make it a little bit brighter so you can see, although there's not much to see really, to be honest. Yeah, we're going downhill for the first bit, which means that we have to you have to slow down a little bit. And yes, this is a Siemens locomotive in America. This locomotive is actually very familiar with the Taurus class in Europe, aka German class 182, or I think it's the Austrian 1016, something like that. So this is very familiar. This is basically they just changed the design. It's basically a Taurus locomotive with changed design. So yeah, hi prisoner, welcome to the chat. And now here's a tricky signal which you are approaching. You see Penn Station is 15 miles only. And however, before Penn Station there's a 30-mile signal which is never announced anywhere, just happens to be here. And it's about 1.6 miles away from Penn Station. So, seeing that we're 1.8 away right now, I'm already slowing down for the approach, expecting this 30. We'll see once it pops up in the background. There's a red light barely visible there. I think, yeah, there's a red yellow thing slowly coming to us, and when we see it, it's already too late. It's impossible to slow down from 60 to 30 once you see the signal. Already too late. But we'll confirm this approach signal, and already knowing that it's there, we've just slowed down to 30. And yeah, that's kind of the problem with Penn Station. We are gonna drive very, very slowly, crawl towards Penn Station, which is, I think, the biggest passenger train station in America, and perhaps off the world, but not sure. Very likely there's bigger ones in Asia. Please stop beeping, thank you. Yeah, the system also makes sure that you do not overspeed. If you overspeed, you have to apply the brakes, and you have to make it under the speed limit in, I think, 5 or 7 seconds. If you take longer than that, it will apply emergency brakes, and if you don't apply the brakes within 3 seconds, it will also apply them. So this is very this system takes a lot of care that you drive correctly, but I mean, most systems do. German PCB train protection system is not much better than this. I mean, I personally really like ATSP, I think it was called, which is a Japanese system. It's in OpenBVA, maybe I can show that someday. And this one is a very friendly train protection system. But yeah, today we're driving with ATC and XS, which is, yeah, not as great. And there you can already see the lights, which means we can already slow down a little bit further. Actually, we'll just go into idle and have the train slow down on the small incline here. Because Penn Station, as I already said, as you can already see up there, is 15 miles an hour only, because there's some very tight junctions in there. It's already counting down. Okay, I wasn't sure. There's cases where the system does not count down to the new target speed, and there's cases where it does. So that's often hard to tell. And this signal is restrictive. So we have to confirm it. I'll turn the lights down again a little bit, so that the passengers don't get blind when they see us. The Amtrak locomotives generally have very bright lights. And I think we're gonna be stopping here for a little longer than on the other stations, because yeah, this is a very busy station. A lot of people leave here, a lot of people enter the train here. This is mostly where like most of the train gets exchanged, because a lot of people want to go to New York, a lot of people want to leave New York when their work is over. So yeah, very busy station. Well, in real life at least, there's like very large amounts of trains here, but in game there's only two. There's us and the other regional service. Unlock doors, and you can see that it's empty very slowly here. So yeah, not a lot to say. It's just waiting for the passengers there to finally leave and enter our train. I have a short walk around the station. Although the station is interesting in reality, not a lot to see in game, I guess. Because well, there's only two trains here, and I think the train is way too bright to be realistic. Also, if you listen closely, we're having the snow walk sound inside an underground station. Thumbs up to the game creator there, that is really realistic, as I like to call it, or well, I mean, the game is being called realistic apparently. Spoiler, it is not. But yeah. This is what the wagons look like. And there's the buffet car. You can sit down here as well. You can sit down everywhere if you ever want to play passenger, but I don't really see the purpose in that, because I mean, I can just be a train passenger in real life. Unless you're in a country where like trains are unaffordable. So you have to like go into the train virtually. There's like no point in doing this. So yeah, that's what our train looks like. And that's what the station looks like. Really not that impressive. So we can take a closer look at the train. We have the engine room here, although not that impressive either, because it's a modern locomotive. Everything's locked away, and obviously Siemens does not want us to take photos of what's going on here and copy it. And there's some controls here which usually don't work, or well, it's AGP. So yeah, these are only a few of these actually work. Battery voltage, cool. Now what I actually like is that they do have a restroom here. Now, this is very common on American locomotives in general, because the train drivers will have long journeys and they can go on the toilet there. Although I don't think that anybody in this locomotive will ever have that long of a journey that they really need a restroom, because this is only used in regional services. And thanks to the magic of a game camera, we've just landed outside the underground station, so we can have a look around from this perspective as well. As you can see, a very solidly developed game that lets you just fly out of underground stations. Now, what I really don't know is why there are mountains, white mountains around New York. Apparently New York lies within glaciers. We have white mountains inside New York, and also apparently the Empire State Building back there, which seems to be quite far away from Penn Station. But at least the people have a nice view on those mountains there. Oops, that's not how the camera works. This is how the camera works. So yeah, all stairs you see, they just lead to empty rooms like this, which is why you can't go up the stairs. There's some hidden tracks behind here which you can't see because there's no light. And you can look through here apparently for something. I don't even know what's going on here. There's apparently some lit ground down here. Again, no idea why this exists, but it exists. Time to go back to the locomotive and actually depart, because we're getting bored. And I think the time protection system turned itself off. That's good, bad. Where did the locomotive try? Oh, wait. Yeah, the locomotive was in parking mode. Cool. So let's release the brakes again, and we can depart. Should have made that a thing by now. So yeah, we are departing slowly because this is snail railways, and yeah, I've just been told that New York does in fact not lie in a glacier landscape. They're just white because I'm in winter settings. Well, but I don't think New York has mountains like this anyway, so they are wrong regardless, which just underlines the fact on how realistic Train Sim World actually is. Lovely. There's a lot of people telling me that Train Sim World is like the next best thing and so extremely realistic. When you look into it, there's a game where like barely any traffic. We have signs with very low resolutions. We have train protection systems that work half the time and half the time not. And we have mountains in New York, so I don't know. It's fun to play the game from time to time, but otherwise. Also, what you're seeing back there is how lighting in this game works. Lighting in this game actually, so like lighting calculation in this game actually turns off some distance away from the camera. Sometimes it turns back on again, but also this white thing you see back there is not actually the end of the tunnel. The tunnel is longer. Now this is where the end of lighting calculations. Lighting calculation just turns off at that point. And when lighting calculation turning off at that point means that it's always lit. This can even be observed at night. If you play this game at midnight and 500 meters away from the camp, everything is lit again because the game does not calculate any light there. And mind you, this is on ultra settings. This is the high settings they normally give you. But whatever. It seems that the game has finally understood that there's tunnel and turned off the lights, which is cool. And yeah, it's screaming at us for driving a little bit too fast. Which is kind of stupid because this tunnel should not be 30 miles to begin with. But yeah, everything's so realistic here. You can actually use the dynamic brakes here because on the small declines they are actually strong enough. Train Sim World uses Unreal Engine 4. And I mean, it's called Unreal Engine. Why do people expect Unreal Engine to be realistic? That's kind of against the name of the program. But sure. I mean, there's like there was a big Unreal Engine hype 2 years ago when the game was made, and that's why they picked Unreal Engine. There's no sane reason to build a train simulation game on Unreal Engine because it will just require a lot of work to build a train sim game on an engine that was not dedicated for train simulation. And you just see the problems. And I think this will always be a problem for Train Sim World. Yeah, Unreal Engine can look cool, but Unreal Engine also has its limitations here and there, so I don't know. For example, you will never be able to have really long trains in the game because Unreal Engine will just crash. It is unable to calculate really long trains. Now, this is not important for Europe. Every kind of European train will most likely fit. But for American trains, they actually need to be shortened. It doesn't work in full size. And I can accelerate a bit because we're going uphill. Now, the idea of those tunnels is that you go under the rivers. So if you just imagine a map of New York City, just, the island in the middle, which is Manhattan, which is where Penn Station is located. New York is on the left, and on the right is... Actually, no. I mean, we're going to New Rochelle, but New Rochelle's theoretically not on the right. I don't know. But at least the first tunnel does go under the river. The second one, I think, goes under the river as well because it's quite long, because it goes down first and up again later. I might as well go just under something else. There's actually 4 people watching right now. Cool. So yeah, as you can see, theoretically it would be, I think, 60 here in the tunnels, but due to the realism of ADC and X's, that is not the case, and we're just allowed to drive 30. Well, this will mean we'll obviously not reach New Rochelle in time. But on the other hand, this is Amtrak. They don't have trains on time. Okay, we finally reached the end of the tunnel, which means that we finally, hopefully, reached the end of 30 miles an hour. And we're now going to see Sunnyside Yard. Yeah. Which, I'm already gonna spoiler that here. It's not going to contain any train at all, because train yards without trains inside are obviously realistic. just like this game, and because this game is perfectly realistic, it also has the empty train yard. It's quite a large yard. It's also quite a sad yard because, well, it's empty. That's what it looks like when we leave the tunnel. I think this is actually... So there's some train station up here, and then everything goes to nowhere. There's also this random tunnel. And there's some weird stuff going on here. I think this is Long Island Railroad. They actually have a station which they only serve on certain days up there. I don't know. Also, just to say how realistic this game is, by the way, Long Island Railroad is available as a separate DLC where they did fix that, because Long Island Railroad actually only runs third rail trains, but in this game Long Island Railroad just has overhead wires, which is very realistic. You see, I'm really stressing the fact, I'm really trying to bring to you how a realistic train sim works, and that you like should buy it right now. Totally not sponsored. And okay, joke. I'm definitely not sponsored. I would never take sponsorship for a game like this, which is not realistic. And yeah, we're getting emergency brake because I slowed down a little too late. Not really a problem. Yeah, stop beeping, please. Thank you. I just want to drive a little bit faster after that endless 35 in the tunnel. Thank you. So stop beeping. Oh, that was actually the warning that we were rolling backwards. Didn't know that that's a thing, but apparently the game will warn you if you do that. And by the way, if you have hopes for high speeds, we're not really gonna reach them. There's actually a section with 100 miles coming up ahead, but it's so short that you can't actually reach 100 miles. Is that fantastic? I wish you stop beeping, for fuck's sake. To be honest, I should probably just go through my collection of obscure rail train sims and stream a little bit from that, perhaps, like some old stuff at Open Rails or Baby E series or like some ID. I don't know. I mean, there's many that a lot of you will perhaps not have seen yet, because they are rather obscure and also rather quote unquote realistic. I guess sometimes realism in OpenPV is higher than in train sim world. But that really depends on the read-on situation. Okay, we're already gonna stay at 50. I mean, I think the locomotive looks really good. They did a good job modeling it as well. But then the route looks, well, very average, I'd say. So these houses here are a little bit colliding with each other. I'll actually accelerate a little bit. So we'll be going around the curve here, and then we will be joined by a freight train line. And hello out the train there. And we'll be joined by a freight train line that can also drive in game. It's actually kind of fun because this is they have some nice shunting activities. Yeah, sometimes the system just goes up to 60 and then starts counting down to 55. Very realistic, of course. I mean, after all, this is Trains and World. This is made by Dovetail Games, the master of realism. Obviously, it's gonna be realistic. I mean, one thing they actually did, which had me surprised in Trains and World, you know, actually have routes with mountains with trees on it. You know, at least like the previous game, Train Simulator, also known as Railroads, also known as the DLC Simulator. In that game, has mountains, but there's no trees on them. Like the trees just cut off at some distance. Everything looks naked. I don't know. Very realistic indeed. Although the White Mountains we have seen in New York did not have trees either. I don't know. So we're now approaching Hellgate Bridge. We're on the highway, no, we're on the railway to Hell. Very enjoyable place. No idea why it's called Hellgate Bridge, but it's a 60 zone, which means that we should not drive faster than 60. And here we have a nice bell, and this is what it looks like if anybody operates a horn. This locomotive is a very loud horn. Hello, New York, please wake up! Yeah, I don't know. No, I would never use the horn in this game, but I just accidentally hit my spacebar, so rip. Oh yeah, this is also important to mention, before anybody complains, that I'm using a keyboard to drive. This game does not actually support like any custom controllers. You can use normal Xbox joysticks because for some reason there's people who drive trains with Xbox joysticks. I don't know anybody who does that. It's just because this fucking game is... Yes, this game is on console. You can buy this game in consoles. Very realistic. Now you can very realistically drive this train with an Xbox controller, but you could not actually use a rail driver if you have that. Even though, I mean, I'm kind of personally recommending against a rail driver. From what I've seen, this thing is a really tiny device. This thing is smaller than a keyboard. I don't know what kind of benefit that offers. I can justify paying, I don't know, $150 plus, well, $50 shipping to Europe to get a device that's smaller than my keyboard. Nah, thanks. So as you see, a very relaxed route speed-wise. Going downhill again. This is actually a spot where you can apply the emergency brake. I think we're going for a 40. Yes, we are going for a 40. It's time to slow down some more. While we're approaching a freight yard on the right very soon. I forgot how it was called. I think Oak Point Yard. And then there's also the freight line here from Harlem Waste Facility, because that's where they like burn waste. always a nice view here, kinda. Can actually take a highest quality screenshot as well, which will take a short moment. So if you press Control F12, then the game will take a high quality screenshot. A high quality screenshot will be in 4K resolution, but it will also halt the game for a moment. So we can now accelerate to 70. The following section will just sway between 60, 70, and 40. We'll just count up, count down all the time. There's some CSX freight engines standing ready for shunting tasks at the yard. Cool. The camera actually has limitations, so I actually don't fly up too high, so you don't see how bad the sea is made, for example. And this judges by an object with collision. If we can't find something that actually has collision, like our train, we can go a little higher. Once the train is gone, the camera will pull us back down, because reasons. Okay, yeah, I've kind of forgot to keep to the speed limit here, but I mean, we're Amtrak, doesn't really matter if you're a little late, so I can accelerate again now. And there we see the border of shadow calculation. For that, everything is let us fuck, man. And hello, freight train. That does not have its lights on. That does not seem safe. Oops. Wrong button again. Yeah, sorry for confusing the space bar with the Q confirm button, because I just played another game where space bars confirm. So I'm kind of confusing the two. Normally in this game, Q is confirm. It's also kind of annoying if every sim does it differently. I'm always gonna get confused. And here is, I think, the... Oh wait, no, that's the first bridge. We're also gonna pass by a second bridge later, which is like a drawbridge. I mean, this game will never open because realism. But in real life, it could open if a ship comes by. And then the trains have to stop. See, there was a 71st hour moment, now it's counting down to 65. I mean, I don't know why. There's like literally no difference between 65 and 70. So I don't know whether it even really make a difference here, but... fuck off. Seriously? Sorry for anyone's original questionnaires. If this is not right for you, please turn off the stream now. I'm actually recording the stream as well, not because I think that anybody will ever want to really watch it, but I will also test like how fast the upload is in terms of video. So we'll see that later. Going for the 65 again, yep. Countdown again, I think for 60. Yep. So if the allow display changes from a red number to 3 yellow lines, you know you are already below the tower speed and can start braking. Accelerate again, although not for long because we want to soon arrive at the drawbridge, which has low speed. So time to start braking again. And we're at our target speed of 45 miles per hour. And there's our bridge. Not very exciting. One thing I actually heard about this bridge is that if you stop here, open the cab door and run out, you can jump over this little fence here, and I can actually fall into the water, although there's not really anything to see there because the water just has like mysterious ground below it. So yeah, that's the bridge. Cool. And we're now heading for the 100 miles per hour section, which will not be as fun as it sounds, but yeah, pedal to the metal, I guess, even though there's no pedal technically, although we need to be careful with the time because now it's like still crying. Okay, now we can accelerate fully. Put the throttle to max. Now, what you will immediately notice is that there's an 80 here, and even worse, right after this 80 comes a 40. Now this 40 is not announced anywhere. And the cool thing is, just like with Penn Station, if you don't know that the 40 is there, you might stop for the 80, then you'll immediately get an emergency brake application because, well, you didn't see the 40 coming. So yeah, there's not actually that much fun. I think you can reach about 80 before it will start to slow you down again. I've never managed to reach 100 with the train attached here, while driving with the limits at least. I mean, you can ignore the limits and accelerate prematurely, and also if you don't have ATC access on, nobody's gonna care about the 40, but with the systems on, I've never managed to reach 100 actually with the train attached, so yeah. We're also, New Rochelle will be the end of this drive, so you don't actually get to really bring the locomotive to speed and enjoy the actual Northeast Corridor feel, I promise. So you see, we haven't even reached the 80 yet, and it's already counting down for the 80, because we know that there's a 40 right after. We're also gonna slow down for the 40 already. Dear passengers, we're now approaching New Rochelle Station. doors will open on the left. At New Rochelle we will have a crew exchange. We hope you will continue to enjoy your ride with Amtrak. Yeah, unfortunately this game does not have any announcements yet, nor does it have any displays like that would show the passengers where the train goes or anything, because realism. So yeah, we're slowly crawling into New Rochelle. And this signal is a 45. So my memory was right. It wasn't a 40, it was a 45. But still, this signal is an immediate 40. That just comes out of nowhere if you don't know it exists. So that's kind of crappy design. Oops. Where does that 30 come from? I do not like this 30. But yeah, approach, because we're running onto a red signal at the end of New Rochelle station. And there's some tracks coming out of nowhere, going into nowhere. Now, theoretically, the map ends here. There's a little stretch of track that continues from here on before the map actually ends. And I will try to do a short glitch to be able to go there with the AI. We'll see how good that will work out. Since we are most likely a little bit late, yeah, the other guy's already departing. Normally, the other train arrives like 4 or 3 minutes after you come here, so we're surely a little bit late. This trick should work. It's actually frustrating if you drive in realistic mode and want to catch the other train, you're late because of the train protection system. And then you gotta wait a while. But I think they're running in 15-minute intervals. It's not too bad. It's still quite bad. This train is also very long for the station. Can we accelerate the last bit? Or does the game not let us? Like, the game has us locked down. But I got this strong feeling it will just open this door regardless. And yes, it will. Because apparently that's realistic. But I think we've actually got quite the long train. I think they usually wagon shorter than this fits. Oh. Fuses? Huh. Are they fuses or fusees? Don't I have to spell fuse, or are they actually fusees? This is a cool ending picture, and it says a big red cross because we are 12 minutes delayed. Good job, train protection system, for being 12 fucking minutes delayed. So yeah, that's our stats. We drove 32 miles. We bought some bit there, and yeah, that's it. Now to perform this trick, I will have to stand here. Actually, let's test this. It will say I'm not allowed to drive the train, but I can, or should be able to sit down here. Let's see if the AI will start driving. Assembled using metric threaded fasteners and components. This pantograph does not support imperial threaded fasteners and components. Danger high voltage. No shit, Sherlock. So yeah, I'm just looking at the train in detail a little bit, waiting for the for it to start departing, because the glitch cannot be done by a human player. Oh wait, well, you can somewhat do a trick here that will also work. Oh, I see an uncollected achievement. Cool. It's now it starts driving, and we will just watch the AI do their thing. Although we can actually do one additional fun thing, which does not work as expected, because oh yeah, you have to go outside first in order to activate 3cam. Now what I'm gonna try is that I'm gonna go back here somewhere. Can I catch this thing? Sake. Where's the uncoupler? You see, theoretically it's possible to uncouple the moving train if the AI is driving it. If the player is driving it, it will derail. But as long as the AI is driving, nothing bad will actually happen. If you uncouple a moving train. It's really hard to do. You kind of need to have the camera at the speed of the train and near to it. Just doesn't work. Works better with the British trains, and Great Western Railway works better there. Doesn't work quite as good with these. Yeah, we're already too fast. And yeah, the AI is getting some beeps. Now, if you wonder where the train's heading, let's see. We're going to the building. Horn. Please get out of our way. And there goes the train. Just disappears here. Now what can we do here? Well, we can walk around. Freely, we're now out of bounds, kind of. So let's go explore. We can walk through those houses. These have no collision. We can't actually walk back onto the actual route because we can't actually walk back onto the actual route because there is at some point the house we drive through is blocking us. That one does have collision, the first house you drive through, so the only way to actually get is with this trick. Here we see an interesting thing. So there's quite a lot of height difference between those two, and I don't think if you ever fall down you can't get up onto the map again either. Yeah, the wall just ends here. There's some mysterious wallies we can see there. Oops. Some mysterious wallies we can see here. Let's run back a little bit. There's also on the other end of the route as well, but isn't quite as interesting. On the other end of the route, you're actually better off just getting the free cam. Oh, and you can actually fly out here with the free cam as well. And the interesting thing if you do this is that if you fly over the end of the map and then there's absolutely no no terrain at all anymore, then the free cam is not height blocked anymore. So you can actually get quite a high view of the route and what's going on there. So yeah, to the left and to the right there's both fences. We can't get through this house. We drive through. We can't get through either. We can fall down here. We cannot get back to the tracks. We can actually crawl under the tracks. Cool. Please stand up again. Oh, he does not want to stand up again. We can only crawl. And we can actually go through the fence as well. Cool. But at some point this fence, I think, is limiting us. Yeah, we can't get out here normally. Can walk up the tracks, but no benefit of doing that because this wall we drove through is also solid. But since we can crawl through the fence, let's try that out again. Go through here, and now we're sort of free. We still can't get back onto the road. We can walk around this garage here. Oh wait, we can actually get back onto the route. I've never walked this far, and there's the next train already, because we were so delayed that we can actually see the next train going into the building. So yeah, it just disappeared there. Yep, there it goes. So we're actually so delayed that the next train was right after us. We'll go into the building there. So yeah, we can sort of get around. Because back here there's generally no collision, it seems, on a lot of things, but then again, the house has collision for some reason. I really wonder how the snow got in here. So yeah, one last thing I want to explore is where does the ground go, which goes down there. We can walk on this white thing. It's not very solid, and the ground just goes into nowhere. Which, yeah, that's where it comes from. The ground is quite low here. So and we can now fall down into eternity. Goodbye.